Hey travelers, it's me, Caroline, Kim, and Xander, and this is
Immersive storytelling.
Hey,
All right,
travelers. What's up? No, for real.
Good. Yeah,
Definitely
what's up?
not.
What's
but
up?
let's unpack what you just said. You mentioned something, as a, I guess, entrepreneur, creative, how the algorithm, it's always evolving. So how do you feel like it is now in the current times?
I'm just like eclipsing, coming close to 18,000 followers. And I was just doing
Congratulations.
Thank
Yes,
you.
it's
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you. And I was doing the data, and however, the most engagement I've ever had on one single post is below 2%. So that's less than 250. Like, I have all the posts I've posted almost every day for 4 years straight, and I'm able to, amass pretty good numbers. But that's the most I've been able to get from my community, is like less than 2% engagement. And so what I'm planning to do is actually invite some people who are really like good growth experts and engagement experts on the platform to have an open discussion about this, to maybe audit my account, give me some tips, and see what I can do to raise my engagement level, and also give them a platform. So I'm going to try to see what's up. So that's a really interesting question. I'm like really intrigued to get some answers.
Yeah. I also think it'd be great to, like, I guess, point out some of the challenges we have now, and then, maybe some things that we might try to see, like, solutions we might try, and then, like, we follow back on this and see what kind of works and what doesn't. Because, like, the amazing thing, like, Xander and I did, like, a LinkedIn Live last week, and the amazing thing is, like, whenever I do these lives with Xander, I'm always blown away that it's a lot of people's first time talking to him, because it always feels like they've known him for so long, and they'll even start talking like they've known him for so long. So it's obvious that people are seeing your content.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I think it's part of it is also, like, I know with, like, my community is I need to be more accessible to the community. Like, they have to feel like they can, like they could touch you, like they could actually speak to you. I think that's something that I did differently when I first started, Perdithio versus, like, where I am now, is I was a lot more reachable when I was, starting out. There wasn't a lot of people. I was just excited that anyone was talking to me. Now it's kind of like I'm just, like, juggling a bunch of things, and I know there's, like, a lot of people I need to get back to. So I don't know necessarily how that would affect the algorithm, or if it does, but trying to see if, like, by engaging more with the community, that would lead to getting more interaction. That's, like, I think one of the top things I'm going to try to see, like, in the next couple weeks.
Amazing. And I totally second that. The more I step behind my brand, or actually in front of my brand, I guess you could say, and like you said, make myself more accessible. There's also that. Not only do I get incredible feedback, which is where some of my best campaigns have come from, is literally just paying attention, like creating something and then putting it into the market. If the market responds, even if it's only a small response, like, I'm running with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when my community responds to things, I do go in that direction. And I think that's when I've had the most creative spark, inspiration, because it's like tuning right into the frequency people like. So I want to keep doing that. And I just want to keep doing that. And it's like you said, the data is the more lives I do, the more interaction and engagement I have, because I'm really targeting a specific audience, and we build a specific community, and we have experiences that just make deeper connections, beyond the artwork or beyond any of that stuff. We actually get to connect and talk and see each other, and that just adds another layer of immersion, and makes the story more meaningful when you understand the characters behind them.
Something that you just hit, both of you, is audience, right? And also, like, the engagement with the audience, and that there is, like, acknowledging that there is an audience there is an audience. And, something I talked about at the top of the call was bots, right? And I guess a question that I would have is, if you stumbled upon a piece of content, it has like 300,000 engagements or something like that, would it mean different to you if out of those 300,000, 295, let's say K were bots? Would that content come across differently to you? Does it matter that the audience are real people? I think if I were answering this own question, I'd say yes, but there is a sort of illusion factor too, that when things have a certain amount of a certain amount of impressions or likes, that it might be more value, or that it resonated with more people, so it's worthy of your attention. There's all sorts of factors, I think, psychologically that are being in the mix of this experience. And it's interesting because it's from an etymology standpoint. You're how do you determine these keywords to then rank or get your content to the right audience? And if the keywords are so generic at a certain level, is it even what is working? Or if it's not generic at a certain level, maybe it's just so nuanced or ahead of the curve in terms of, you really, really have to know your audience very much so that you even understand when they're changing certain, lingo, like etymology and the way that people use words for things to in different, let's say, clusters of data, different audiences could definitely be not the same word as a t-shirt, could be a different audience or a different group of people in a certain age limit, let's say, or whatnot, could be using a different word for t-shirt than they could be using tea, or a certain nuance or way to describe it instead. And if you don't know that audience is using that new word, you're not going to reach them, sort of thing. So I don't know how this is all what value is being inputted on the ratio of these things. But yeah, I just threw a bunch of different things in there.
Doing that live with Xander was very insightful because when on LinkedIn Live, you got to bring people to the front, and it's virtual, but you bring people to the front and they can speak, and you give them a chance for people to ask questions. And one of the common questions that Xander was getting to talk to is everyone wanted to know what's next into the storyline that you've been building. So I want to pass it to Xander, and because I think that was such a beautiful touch point of the community being we've talked about the whole building this world, but it was the first time that it was just the validation of wow, what you built is awesome. People kind of want to be a part of it. What's next? How do we become a part of it? So on that note, passing to Xander.
yeah, that was really cool. I mean, people seemed real galvanized, we were to do something more. And just a slight bit of context, I was reaching out to people, thanking them for coming to my profile, interacting, and asking them how I could help them. And a lot of people just literally were just curious. They said they were visiting off pure curiosity. And so I took that as an essence to create a campaign, just to continue, because I make daily content, to continue producing content. But like I was saying, more relevant to what my audience was coming to my page for. And so I was, trying to directly speak to a pain point and also provide some value, which is, curiosity maybe is an asset, or maybe is something tangible that, you can give people because it leads to maybe inspiration or exploration, which is self-actualization. I'm not getting too deep, but that was just kind of where I really wanted to take it, and because it was inspirational to me, because I have spent so much time building my community on LinkedIn. I'm there's real returns, there's real relationships being forged, and there's a real these are real people on the other side of the screen, which is kind of sometimes easy to forget. So the feedback was we're in a space, we're all talking about this project pure curiosity. And what I hoped to attract was more like-minded individuals, and everybody there was like, you know, totally on the level and just a naturally curious kind of explorative type of personality. So it was beautiful and inspired me to kind of like, holy crap, make it a weekly show, a weekly live audio, and really just, you know, get feedback and explore where this group of individuals collectively coming together to, you know, explore art and creativity, see where it goes. Because there were some really good ideas and a lot of talented minds, and I love being at a point where I don't have to do all the thinking, and it's like, you know, like we're together and co-creating, and it gives me more purpose, and that really also like streamlines my time and my workflow, because, you know, we're busy professionals, parents, husbands, girlfriends, boyfriends, like everybody's busy, you know. As much as I love creating, like we don't have unlimited time to do it. So it helps with, you know, with that kind of use of time.
Love that. It was just amazing. Like I get blown away that you haven't like actually met these people whenever we speak to them, because like a lot of people are like, I know you back from like Clubhouse, back pre-pandemic. And I'm like, so you've been cool with these people since then? And you're like, kind of, you like each other's posts, but like, I think it's so beautiful that when people feel that connection, because that's also the reason why they joined the call. They saw, oh, Xander's, look, I gotta make it, like, be part of this. So I do love doing lives with both of you, and I'm really excited. We'll be doing more lives. I feel like whenever I do that, like, I think that's one of the things, like, that always got me, like, I guess, out of my engineering shell, because, like, I had a background in engineering, but what they figured out, like my managers and stuff, is that when they sent me to go do demos, I did very well with people, because I think it was just like one of the chances. Like I was always QA, you know, quality assurance, like always the person that was breaking things, like figuring when things went wrong. So it's always very like refreshing when you start to talk to like the actual user, and they're completely fine with the product. They don't, it could be a little like wonky or like, you know, not, you've seen it every day and it doesn't blow your mind. You just see everything that's wrong. And they're like, this is so cool. Like more people, why don't people like know that this for? So there's something very refreshing about just like talking to your audience, like in interacting with them. And I guess something that I have an event on Saturday in another country. So it's always I have to remind myself to remove my ego about it, because like all my assumptions on it could be wrong. And an approach that's, I guess, kind of, I've been taking into this, and I've had to use it in my past event, that's been, I think, kind of working when I've run, like I have to run Instagram ads is like my primary form of like how to reach people. But something that worked well with my last event was that I like let go of my ego, and I just started to produce content. So I was running a marketing campaign where, you know, sometimes I had like up to like 12 pieces of different content, and I would just let the algorithm decide which one performed better. And that seems to be working a lot better. And then like I, you know, keep making more content. And then like, it's really funny because like when I'm in I was always like, I'd hit you guys up and be like, you guys, I'm in my feels, my content's not performing well. And it's just beautiful to see like the content that I had made at first, like, you know, the first ones usually end up being the worst. But like, as I keep going, like some of the ones that I didn't think were going to be the best are like the ones that perform the best. So it's one of those, like, I'm like, all right, it's just kind of like, you just got to shoot shots. You're playing a game, you shoot it, you know, the algorithm's going to do what it is. People are going to decide which one hits more. So it's been very interesting, just like, as you said, Caroline, I think we're going to be in a lot, like the more data I get about this whole thing and like how my audience, I feel like I'm able to produce content that better aligns with them. So that's the whole like part where I say removing my ego. It's because like I don't know what the audience really wants until like they, you know, until I look at the data.
And also a good point in that is that removing the ego point is that you can't take it personally, because whatever is happening on the other side, and like this was a question I was going to ask, is like, is anyone, when you post content, cognizant of the time of day? That used to be a pretty big factor in you know, algorithm serving content, was post the time of day when you think your audience is going to be receiving it. Now, in today's world, I think that I've seen a lot of threads on the internet that time of day doesn't matter necessarily as much. And perhaps that's because the way that they're ranking the algorithm is they'll serve it up to that person based on other factors. And the time of day might not be as much of a significant influence on the posts. And so I wonder if, in the next week or so, we all kind of use this as an experiment on other people's content that we like and that we see is like generating sort of higher significant volumes of traction, if you will, and see like zoom into the bottom of when it was posted and see how close it is to when you received it. To understand if there is a different, like what the differential of when you post, like when someone posts something versus when you're seeing it as the quote unquote audience, how far away that is, because it could be a couple of days away. And if it is a couple of days away, then I can't imagine the time of day in that instance is going to be a big factor. But then at the same time, maybe it is. So, I always thought, use the approach of understanding what people are doing in their everyday world, right? Like they wake up at this time. If you're trying to reach an audience in this time zone, then blah, blah, that sort of thing of putting yourself in your audience's shoes and sort of living that day. And then, delivering a message when it's not going to be an interrupter, it's not going to add friction to their day. It's actually going to serve something valuable to their day and like make them laugh maybe, or make them feel a little bit more connected to you maybe. But if that happens at the wrong time, for instance, or if it's happening at a time where they're busy or not even like, engaged, then you might miss your person. So I am wondering how, time influences the algorithm as well.
Those are very valid points, because those are things I typically have to take into consideration, because like at least coming from the event space, I know I can't drop something with important information on a weekend. It'll just fall flat because everyone's out. And the interesting thing is like, as my brand doesn't get the visibility that it would, so we rely a lot on micro influencers. And a lot of time when or like just the influencers, the DJs themselves. So a lot of times when we're trying to like, oh, when are we going to start promoting? It's really based, they're like, oh, my peak hours. They always say like, my hours are this. This is when they know when their audience is, and it's like different for each person. And I'm like, all right, well, like usually I'm not the lead on when we should post. It's someone else that I'm like collaborating with will give me the best times. Something like I've been running ads for a long time for Instagram, but like something that I'm testing out that I think worked well when I did the San Francisco event, I'm trying again with the international event, is it seems like people, I don't know if this is for good or for bad, but the data that I've gotten so far has been that people are most active on social media during working hours. So like if it's a Monday to Thursday is usually when I like hit them during those working hours. Because I usually notice that after like 6 p.m. I don't get as much engagement. And it's like something I've noticed even throughout the years. But like the 48 hours, that spot before the event, I'm too nervous. I don't know if it's just me. I'm just too nervous that my ad's not going to be seen. So I'm just running ads consistently that day. But that's just event day for me. But I do want to dive into it deeper, because like you said, Caroline, the more we can like know about our audience and when to hit, it helps, because that's also why I appreciate that you are a planner, because that's not my go-to thing. But something that I've inspired to do is like a content planner, because I did have some type of rhythm to it where it's like, on like Monday motivation, because like usually Sunday is when people get like that anxiety about having to go to work. So like having some fun content between Sunday and Monday is usually where it pops off. And Monday is usually the day that we announce something big, because it's usually once everyone's already done stuff in the weekend, and it's something that's common for like events is like people have all this content that they want to share on one day. But yeah, we're going to dive into it deeper because like also know that the day for the best engagement on Instagram is Wednesday. For some reason, hump day is the day, that people are the most active on Instagram. So like if I really want something to pop off, that's the hour. But it could be hit or miss still, even when you hit it at the hour. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting for sure. What do you think, Xander? You're on Instagram and LinkedIn, of course, but you're also on Instagram and TikTok. Are there any other platforms that you're on?
X.
X.
Which is like I literally don't do much on there at all.
That's changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm barely on there, but yeah, I mean, it's gone through some tremendous changes. I mean, and when's the last time you heard the name Twitter? I mean, I feel like we used to be
Yeah.
daily vernacular, and now it's gone, so it's weird. But I follow like the fighters, like whenever they do events, this is like a huge week for Fight Week. It's their UFC 300th like live event, so it's a huge media campaign. But whenever they do the reactions from the audience, it's always like live during the events, and they'll showcase other fighters' opinions and reactions to what's going on during the match from X based off of their tweets.
Wow.
So I thought that's like the only thing I ever followed on X or Twitter or anything was like reactions to live events was really cool. But other than that, time of day, like I'm trying to branch out and do more automation, but it definitely makes a difference because there's 2 times, especially when you have a global audience, which is really cool about LinkedIn. I've been able to, because of the topics and stuff, have a global audience, so it really does matter. Like 10 p.m. Sometimes I might be feeling creative or been working all day and not gotten around to the posts, which is what I'm trying to automate. But also, I noticed when I post more creative, less business, more art things at that time, it gets better engagement. And then it like builds on. I wake up the next morning, I'm like, holy shit! Like, dude, I thought this thing was gonna get like 10 likes.
That's the best feeling. Waking up in this movie.
yeah, totally. Because I posted an off time, but the algorithms don't stay consistent. You know, it's really odd to do that. So it's because for a while it was definitely, if I posted in the morning, 8 a.m. my time, or the earlier I posted, it would build throughout the day. So I'm trying to optimize it to both. And I'd love to get to a point soon to where it's like more generated, automated posts with my thoughts. It's been more time creating it, and then I have more data. You know what I mean? Like, but there's also that thing where I like, and I did a poll on my audience to see like, hey, do you post your content? This was strictly on LinkedIn. I was like, do you schedule your content or do you kind of just post at will? And like 90%, maybe more, was post at will, because they said they felt like it was more authentic and they could connect more to it than when they create it or produce it prior, which was interesting, you know.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And it's back to Kim's point about taking the ego out of it. I think scheduling it from a content strategy perspective, having a calendar and a strategy, and you're more of like a business or a brand perspective than a person maybe. It does take the ego out of it in the sense that, you know, you're on that roller coaster no matter what. Like the roller coaster ain't stopping depending on how this is being received. It's going to keep going. And, you know, it's interesting too, to your point, Xander, about automation. A lot of those services that are like omni-channel have data insights, and they give you feedback that, you know, ordinarily you wouldn't have a view into because of the tracking abilities. And that, in a sense, gives you another window specific to your audience that you might not get if you're not running something that's more automated, or that there's a tracking pixel. And, you know, those emails or, you know, the social posts or whatnot, you get to actually see user behavior, if you will. And that behavior analytics could determine or give you more insight into, you know, what people are doing around what time. I've noticed from the past using those behavioral analytics that it helps with, you know, the day of the week, the time of the day, you know, tended to be a little bit more predictable as far as emails go. You know,
Hmm.
but I mean, information and any data is always appreciated, I think.
Mhm.
And I guess because I'm a brand, I do approach it differently versus like I feel like if I did it for my personal brand, I would go with something that was more like my peak hours. But since I guess as you said, Caroline, we're on as a brand, you know, and a business, we're gonna be posting regardless of how the outcome's gonna treat us. So it's more of like a consistency and just quantity at that point. So that's why like when I'm doing things with the brand, I know if I know I'm gonna have to run an ad on it anyways, I'm just posting. Or like with LinkedIn, like now that I've dabbled into LinkedIn a little bit, like Xander and I would just like we just gotta shoot. We just put it out there. You could repost the same thing. Like that's kind of I guess like LinkedIn really feels like a free for all because you could there's no I don't know if they penalize you for how often you're posting. It doesn't feel like it just kind of feels like people
Yeah,
who
that's a good point.
who post kind of get the most attention.
Mhm.
Like you can repost other people's content and it just looks like it's your content on LinkedIn. It's a I call it the wild wild west out there.
Maybe that's because they really are not. I don't know. I wonder if that's, yeah, there's a lot of reasons for what that could be interesting. But speaking of LinkedIn, we have a special, I think Xander, you're going to do a special birthday event soon. And
Yeah, I
then
gotta pick a day for that. Definitely.
separately of the birthday event, because it's going to be Xander's birthday next week, right?
This week?
Yeah, Monday. It's Monday.
Monday next
The
week. Yeah.
15th.
So on Monday, we're going to give some significant shout outs. I guess this episode will air after that. So this is a time warp. And
Let's go.
we are celebrating Sarah's birthday all week long. All week long. And then I think on
Birthday month. So let's get it.
yeah, we'll be hosting a LinkedIn Live the following Wednesday. Right?
I don't know if we've scheduled
Yeah.
it, but I love the fact you said it. So let's
Yeah.
let's
There
go.
we go.
Yeah.
We're
Right, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So join us for that.
That'd be the 24th. Then.
Yes, the 24th is
Yeah.
our LinkedIn Live.
2 weeks from today.
That's right. And all week next week, or all week, the week of the 15th, we're going to be celebrating Xander's birthday, his cycle around the sun. We're going to get some deep dives on, you know, favorite moments of the year, I imagine.
I love how Caroline's already got this. Like your birthday's gonna be lit.
I don't know.
Spatial party.
There's going to be, yeah, we're going to have a great time.
The eclipse was pretty crazy the other day.
Was it? How was it from out there?
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. It was like 100% coverage or 99%
Yeah,
coverage.
you
or
got a
whatever.
sick view.
Yeah, it was wild. I was like kind of underwhelmed about the whole thing. I was like, whatever, I've seen it before. And I guess there's not another one in the US that'll happen for 20 years, but it was cool with the, like ordered some of the classes and just like watching it like cover it and then pass it. And the lighting, it was just wild. And I think that yeah, for storytelling purposes, the stars have always have been and will continue to be like a deep source for inspiration.
Love it.
The
I love that Caroline's wearing stars too right now.
Yes, the GNBH line has stars and clouds as the original symbols. But yeah, the constellations are everything. Like and it's such a universal and primal and across timeless thing that the cosmos offer.
Totally.
They're kind of the original props for storytelling, huh?
Huh.
And the sky is the stage.
That's deep. I like
And we're
that.
the audience.
Right, right.
We're the audience. We're just appreciating its beauty and wonder.
Mm.
But I guess Elon Musk is gonna go up there and do some stuff, right?
Yeah. Get colonize Mars. Right. We'll get there.
To say until next time.
Yes. Until the next episode, see you, travelers. Wow. See you on the next episode. Woo.
Immersive
Storytelling.